Let's bring in former FBI agent and ABC News consultant Brad Garrett. Brad, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Of all the missing person cases in this country, in the world, what is it that drew you to this one?
Well, I was looking for a case that I thought we could maximize the use of social media to potentially solve it. And if you look at obviously the age of Lauren Spierer and her friends, they use social media day in and day out to communicate through text, through Facebook, through MySpace, etc. So I thought the idea of looking at this case, other than the case in general, intrigued me, was to let's see what we could do as far as getting leads via social media.
You have looked into this for roughly a year now. What have you found that we might not have heard before?
Well, you know, this case has taken us up a number of trails from, in any case where someone's missing, you first of all look at the people in their immediate circle. In other words, boyfriends, male associates, female associates, places they work. In other words, places they frequent. Because many times when people disappear, if it's not voluntarily, it's because someone in their immediate circle harmed them, or maybe perhaps they even died around them and they did something with this person. So all of the above is possible, but when you open a case up to basically the community, you then get all sorts of leads for all different reasons. You get leads about meth organizations in Indianapolis. You get leads of people who were at a party and she died at a party. Some of this obviously folks in central Indiana have heard before, but we got particular names and locations. So the case is still not solved, and the real key is going to be that they watch this 2020 piece and then they go, you know, there's another piece of information I've never shared with anybody, and they come forward, because I think that's how close we are at this point in solving the mystery as to what happened to Lauren.
It has been a devastating and heartbreaking 5 years now for Lauren's family, her friends. As we go forward in this case, how do you think that police and other investigators have handled it so far from the law enforcement angle?
Well, it's very difficult to assess law enforcement in this case because they don't tend to talk publicly about what they're doing. I've gotten actually no feedback or information from the Bloomington police, which presumably would be the lead agency. So what they've done, not done, I don't really know. I will say it is a bit odd, the lack of communication with the public, because the public is what helps you solve a case. It's worked for me for 30 years. The more you can put out to the public, the more you're going to get back. I haven't seen that occur with the Bloomington police, but apparently they've chosen a route where they're just really not going to use the public to the max.
Ahead of this special on Friday, you have spent a lot of time with Lauren's family. How have they been to deal with so far?
Wonderful. Lauren's family, I just couldn't say enough nicer things about the entire family. They've been extremely supportive of us investigating this case with their private investigators. It is a case that they are living every day, and they, more than anybody else, even if it's going to be extremely painful, want to know what happened to Lauren.
What can we look forward to seeing on Friday?
You're going to see us walk through the case from the time I walked into it a year or so ago, with the leads that the PIs had, with leads that I had gathered from an internet piece I did on the show called Solve It. And then we combined the two and started working leads. And what we ended up with were a number of possibilities, and we're going to take you through those leads on 2020, into biker gangs, into a jail, a prison, to talk to an inmate about what he might know about what happened to Lauren. So it will show, I think, how much time we've spent on this and how difficult it is sometimes to get information that's truthful. Somebody calls you, somebody gives you a piece of information, maybe 5 or 10% of it's true, but the rest of it is not. And the challenge for investigators like myself is sorting out fact from fiction. Sometimes easier said than done.
In this investigation so far, do you think that you might have spoken to someone who knows more than what they have let on publicly?
There's no doubt I've talked to a number of people in this case that know more than they have told me, or ones that have declined to talk to me, I think have information. So that doesn't mean that they won't come forward, and it also doesn't mean that people around them that maybe have the same information might step forward after they see this piece, how hard we've worked on it, the utter devastation and sadness of Lauren's parents in trying to find their daughter. I have great hope that somebody's going to step up and say, this is the piece you're missing.
What's your biggest surprise so far in this investigation?
I think one of the biggest surprises is that in today's world of social media, where stories literally play out minutes after they happen, that stories now take on so many different directions that have nothing to do with reality. People have agendas. People want attention. There are all sorts of reasons people jump forward and give you leads. And so as an investigator, you have to sort through them and move them aside if they obviously have no relevance. But it's interesting, as we become more of an immediate society, that has a direct impact on people investigating cases.
You said that we're close to solving this. If we talk again a year from now, will we have solved what happened to Lauren Spierer in 1 year?
I think we will know the answer to that within the next year.
You've also said that we are very close on this. What's it going to take to solve this now? Does someone need to step forward?
Someone needs to step forward to fill in one or two blanks that we have. If we get that person or persons, I think we'll be there.
A final question for you. If you watch the special on Friday night, what will you walk away thinking?
That this could happen to any of our children. That as they go away to college or away to a job, whatever it might be, that you have to trust the faith of them and to protect themselves, and in particular the friends around them to help them. And that we at the end of the day are all vulnerable, particularly when we get into certain situations that involve alcohol and drugs. And I'm hoping people will walk away from this first hour beyond helping us solve it, in that you've got to stay connected to your kids and know what they're doing, maybe sometimes despite the fact they're not interested in you knowing what they're doing.
ABC News consultant, former FBI agent Brad Garrett, thank you so much for joining us. We'll look forward to watching on Friday.
Thank you, Jason.